At this very moment, as you read these words, millions of men are dying inside in their own homes. Men who work hard, provide, strive, sacrifice. Men who do everything right according to what they were taught. And each of them is slowly being destroyed by the woman they love, not through obvious betrayal, not through physical violence, but through something far more insidious, the calculated coldness that emerges precisely when they try their hardest. This is the paradox no one tells you about. The more you give, the less she respects. The more you yield, the more she pulls away. The more you try to please, the more she despises you. And you are trapped in this infernal cycle without even realizing that every act of kindness is a condemnation. Society has sold you a lie packaged as virtue. They told you that true love is built on unconditional sacrifice, that you must be the unshakable emotional pillar. That harmony means yielding, understanding, always giving in. That the evolved man is one who always puts her needs above his own. That conflict is failure, and that your mission is to be the safe harbor where she never faces storms. This narrative is in every movie, every song, every modern therapist's advice, every motivational post about relationships. And it is pure poison. The brutal truth, the truth the system hides from you, is that this posture of being too good a man, of a man who bends over backward to avoid confrontation, of a man who constantly seeks female approval, is read by the primitive female psyche as only one thing: terminal weakness. And weakness does not generate attraction. Weakness generates contempt. You are not building love. You are activating an unconscious mechanism of repulsion that transforms your partner into a cold, critical, and emotionally distant stranger. This goes against everything you've been taught. But observe your own life and tell me I'm wrong. Mark was 42 years old when he finally understood that he had wasted 15 years building his own prison. A successful engineer, 2 children, married to Anna since he was 27. He had always been the guy everyone admired, responsible, dedicated, the kind of man who does everything right. In the early years, Anna adored him, or at least that's what it seemed like. But something gradually changed, so slowly that he couldn't pinpoint the exact moment everything fell apart. Mark had given up rock climbing, his passion since he was a teenager. Because Anna complained he spent too little time with the family, he sold his guitar because she said the noise annoyed her when she was tired. He stopped seeing his friends because she always had something more important for them to do together. He let Anna control the finances because she said she was more organized. He accepted that she chose their vacations, the decor, the children's school, the car, all to keep the peace, all to see her happy. He worked 60 hours a week and still came home ready to help with dinner, homework, bathing the kids. He bought her the SUV she wanted, even though it meant 2 years of tight payments. He renovated the entire house in the style she saw on Pinterest. He canceled work commitments when she said she needed him home. Her every request was an order he followed with zeal, believing he was investing in their love. Today, Mark comes home and is greeted with silence. Not the comfortable silence of intimacy, but the icy silence of indifference. Anna is on the couch, phone in hand, endlessly scrolling, and barely looks up when he enters. He asks how her day was. She mumbles something incomprehensible. He tries to kiss her. She offers her cheek, body rigid, already returning to the screen. He comments on the important project he closed at work. She says, "That's nice," with the same enthusiasm she would use to comment on the weather forecast. Sex hasn't happened in 7 months. 7 months since she last touched him with anything resembling desire. Every attempt at closeness is blocked with, "I'm tired," or "I'm not in the mood," or "You only think about that." But he knows she stays up until 2 in the morning browsing social media, laughing at videos, commenting on strangers' lives. The energy exists. It just doesn't exist for him. Their conversations are logistical. Bills, children, house repairs. When he tries to talk about feelings, about the distance between them, Anna visibly rolls her eyes and says he's being dramatic, too sensitive, needy. She criticizes everything. The way he cuts onions, the shirt he chose, the way he parked, The tone of voice he used with their son. Small daily barbs that open wounds that never heal. With her friends, Anna is a different person. He hears her laughing loudly on the phone, animated, vibrant. The woman he met 15 years ago. But when she hangs up, the mask falls, and the coldness returns. She makes decisions alone now. She enrolled the children in an expensive private school without consulting him. She bought a new computer without telling him. She planned a vacation with her family and simply informed him of the dates. When he questions her, she accuses him of being controlling, of not trusting her, of trying to limit her freedom. Mark no longer recognizes the man in the mirror. He's been on anxiety medication for 2 years. He's lost 35 pounds, not for health, but from corrosive stress. He no longer has close friends. He has no hobbies. He has no passions. He has no identity beyond provider and doormat. He exists to serve and is despised for it. His self-esteem is a black hole. He feels like a ghost in his own home, a tolerated intruder, a roommate who pays the bills. And most devastatingly, Anna now openly talks about divorce. She says she no longer loves him, that he has changed, that he is no longer the man she met. And Mark is stunned because he became exactly what she seemed to want, totally dedicated, completely available, infinitely compliant. He gave everything. He sacrificed everything. He became nothing, and she hates him for it. 15 years of effort didn't buy an ounce of love. They bought contempt, coldness, and the promise of financial and emotional destruction through a divorce that will rip from him the children he raised and half of everything he built. Mark sits on the edge of the bed at 3 a.m. Anna sleeping with her back to him, miles away, even though she's inches away. And he finally understands. He doesn't have a wife, he has an executioner, and he himself sharpened the blade. You are probably Mark. Maybe not in every detail, but in the pattern. You recognize the coldness. You recognize the criticism. You recognize the distancing. You recognize the feeling of disappearing. And you keep doing more, trying more, yielding more, believing that eventually the effort will be rewarded. It won't. Never will. Because you are operating under false premises. You think you are showing love. She reads it as weakness. You think you are building security. She perceives an absence of challenge. You think you are being the ideal partner. She feels instinctive repulsion due to a lack of masculine frame. This is not a communication problem. It's not a lack of therapy. It's not you not trying hard enough. It's you not understanding the real rules of the game you're playing. Let me systematize how this destruction operates. Each tactic below is a weapon in the arsenal being used against you daily. And you don't even realize it because you've been trained to interpret every attack as a legitimate request or your own problem. First, the useless sacrifice test. She creates situations where you need to give up something important to you, and then treats your sacrifice as irrelevant. You cancel your monthly poker night with friends because she said she needed you home. You arrive. She's lying on the couch, on her phone, barely looking up. You ask what she needed. She says nothing with irritation, as if you're bothering her. The sacrifice didn't generate gratitude, it generated contempt. Because on an instinctive level, she just confirmed that you have no backbone, that your word means nothing, that your priorities are negotiable, and a man without fixed priorities is a man without value. She tested. You failed, and now she respects you less. Second, constant criticism. Small daily barbs, destroying your self-confidence drop by drop. Those clothes make you look fat. You always chew too loudly. Why can't you fix that yourself? So-and-so would have already solved that. Never a frontal attack you can defend. Always small cuts that seem like honest observations. So, when you react, you're the sensitive one, the one overreacting. But the goal isn't to improve you. It's to establish hierarchy. It's to keep you insecure, seeking approval, always trying to prove your worth. A man with destroyed self-esteem doesn't leave. He stays and serves. She knows this. She does it on purpose. And you cooperate by apologizing and trying to do better. Third, selective distancing. She is warm, funny, vibrant with everyone but you. You see her interacting with other men, and she's glowing. Wide smiles, genuine laughter, intense eye contact, casual touches on the arm, palpable sexual energy. Then she turns to you, and the light goes out. Monosyllables, frowning face, closed body language, zero warmth. You question this, and she acts like you're crazy. I'm just being polite. Are you jealous? Can't I even have friends? But you know what you saw. She has energy, just not for you. Because you've become boring, predictable, too safe, and safety without tension is death to attraction. She shows you and everyone else that you don't deserve her best, and you swallow it. Fourth, withholding intimacy. Sex has become a bargaining chip, or has disappeared completely. There's always an excuse. Tired, stressed, not in the mood, headache, period. But you notice she's up late watching shows or on social media. The energy exists. The desire exists, just not for you. She controls the only aspect of the relationship where you are vulnerable, where you demonstrate need, and she uses that as leverage. Sex happens on her terms, when she wants something, or as a reward for exceptional behavior. You are not a partner. You are a circus animal jumping through flaming hoops, hoping for scraps. And the more you ask, beg, try to initiate, the more she pulls away. Because demonstrated need is an absolute anti-seducer. A man needing her sexual validation confirms he has no options. And lack of options kills attraction. She knows this, and she keeps you hungry on purpose. Fifth, reversal of responsibility. Every problem is your fault. Every one of her emotions is your responsibility to fix. Is she unhappy? You're not trying hard enough? Is she distant? You're not being romantic. Is she critical? You're being too defensive. You express that you're feeling lonely in the relationship. She says, maybe if you made me feel more loved, I wouldn't be like this. You just expressed a legitimate need and were turned into the culprit. Your feelings are invalidated and redirected as your failures that cause her behaviors. This is called emotional manipulation. And it works because you've been conditioned to believe that a good man accepts blame to preserve peace. So you accept, and you sink deeper. Sixth, the boundary test. She violates small boundaries repeatedly to gauge whether you will assert your will or yield. You asked her not to leave a wet towel on the bed. She leaves it. You asked her to confirm before making plans that involve both of you. She makes plans alone and informs you. You asked her not to criticize you in front of others. She does exactly that at dinner with friends. Each violation is a test. Will you impose a consequence, or will you swallow it? When you swallow it, rationally explaining again why it's important, you failed. She didn't forget. She's testing if you have a spine, and you proved you don't. So she escalates. The next boundary will be bigger, because she needs to find where you finally say no. And if you never say no, she loses respect until there's nothing left. Seventh, silent comparison. She makes you feel inferior by comparing you to other men, never directly, always with subtext. Juliana's husband took her to Paris for their anniversary. So-and-so is so proactive, he's already solved his office problem. I saw that what's-his-name got promoted again, he's so focused. She never explicitly says you're inferior, but the message is clear. Other men are doing more, being more, achieving more, and you're falling behind. This should motivate you to compete, but the real effect is to make you feel inadequate. And a man feeling inadequate tries to compensate with more effort in the relationship, more attention, more sacrifice. Exactly the behavior that generates more contempt. It's a perfect trap. You run faster on the hamster wheel and get nowhere. Eighth, false autonomy. She makes important decisions unilaterally and then accuses you of being controlling if you question her. She enrolled the children in an expensive private school without discussing the financial impact. She bought a new car without consulting you. She planned a big trip with her family and just informed you. When you say these are decisions that should be made together, she explodes. Don't you trust me? Are you trying to control me? Don't I have the right to make choices? Suddenly, you are defending yourself against accusations of being oppressive, when all you did was expect to be included in decisions that affect your life. This is called gaslighting. And it works because you're afraid of looking like the villain, so you yield. Again. And she takes more control, until you have no say in any aspect of the life you supposedly share. Ninth, reverse gaslighting. You express legitimate concern about her questionable behavior and are accused of being paranoid, insecure, or abusive. You noticed she's exchanging excessive messages with a guy from work and ask about it. She accuses you of being pathologically jealous. He's just a friend. Don't you trust me? This is emotional abuse. You're trying to isolate me. You just expressed a reasonable boundary about behavior that anyone would perceive as inappropriate, and were turned into the aggressor. Now you're apologizing for having perception, and she has a free pass to continue the behavior because you proved you won't challenge it. This destroys your reality. You start to doubt your own perceptions, and a man who doesn't trust his own instincts is completely vulnerable to manipulation. She has put you exactly where she wants you. These 9 patterns are not coincidences. They are psychological warfare tactics on a battlefield you didn't know you were fighting on. And you lose every confrontation because you are using the wrong weapons. You use communication, empathy, effort. She uses tests, manipulation, strategic withdrawal. You are trying to build. She is testing if you deserve respect, and every time you yield, every time you explain, every time you try harder, you fail the test. Respect diminishes, attraction dies, and coldness increases. You're thinking, but if I don't yield, if I confront her, she'll leave me. And there's the truth that paralyzes you. She has already left you emotionally. You are living with a ghost who tolerates you because you are useful. Provider, babysitter, housekeeper, emotional validator when she needs it. But a partner? A man she desires? You stopped being that a long time ago. The coldness you feel is the symptom. The cause is you having abdicated everything that made you valuable, trying to buy love through submission. And love cannot be bought. Respect cannot be negotiated. Attraction cannot be begged for. You know this. But you keep trying because the alternative terrifies you. Here's what's really happening at a level no one explains to you. There are massive institutional forces invested in keeping you exactly where you are, confused, guilty, and continuing to serve. And each of these forces profits from your imprisonment. The modern couples therapy industry is a machine for perpetuating male submission disguised as professional help. You go to therapy hoping to solve relationship problems. What happens? In the first few sessions, the therapist invariably establishes that the central problem is you not sufficiently validating her emotions. You're not actively listening enough. You're not emotionally connecting. You need to express yourself more vulnerably. Basically, you need to yield more, understand more, give more. The legitimate concerns you brought up, the coldness, the disrespect, the withholding of intimacy, are recontextualized as her defensive reactions to your inadequacies. At the end of 6 months and thousands of dollars, you are more guilty, more conditioned to yield, and she has professional validation that her behaviors are justified. Therapy didn't save the relationship, it accelerated its destruction by giving her manipulation tools with professional endorsement. And you paid for it. The system doesn't want to solve your problem. It wants you to keep coming, paying, and submitting. A man with a backbone doesn't need infinite therapy. A broken man is an eternal client. Media and entertainment constantly bombard you with a model of masculinity that is the antithesis of real attraction. Every romantic movie, every series, every pop song. The good man is the one who persists, despite rejection, who makes a grand romantic gesture of sacrifice, who puts her on a pedestal, who gives up dreams for her, who openly cries about feelings, who is her best friend first. This man in fiction gets the girl. In reality, this man is her friend who listens to her complain about the guys she actually desires. Media sells fantasy, because fantasy sells products. A real man dealing with real dynamics is not marketable, but a man believing he needs to buy more gifts, be more romantic, make more gestures, is a perfect consumer. So they sell the lie, and you buy it. Literally, you spend fortunes on dinners, trips, gifts, trying to recreate movie moments. And she becomes less impressed each time, because she doesn't want the man from the movie. She wants the man her character in the movie initially rejects. The guy with frame, purpose, who doesn't need her approval. But you can't learn that by watching mainstream media. So you keep following the wrong script and wondering why it doesn't work. The family legal system is a minefield waiting for you. You are unhappy in your marriage. You know you should leave, but you have children, and you know what happens in a divorce. Statistically, drastically, custody goes to her. You'll see your children every other weekend if you're lucky. You'll pay child support that barely lets you survive. You'll pay spousal support to her, even if she works, because the standard of living established during the marriage needs to be maintained. For her, for the children who live with her, you'll lose the house. You'll lose half your retirement. You'll start over financially at 40, 50, while paying for a life you no longer live. And if you react emotionally to any part of this, if you express anger or frustration, it will be used against you as proof of emotional instability and justification to further limit your access to your children. The system is structured to punish men who leave. So you stay, trapped, unhappy, dying inside. But at least you see your children daily and aren't living in a tiny apartment alone eating ramen. The system doesn't want you to have choices. It wants you to remain useful, and fear of legal consequences keeps you serving even in a dead relationship. This isn't justice, it's slavery with paperwork. Female social circles are echo chambers validating destructive behaviors. She has a group of friends. They meet. You are a topic of conversation. And what do they say? You deserve more. He should do more for you. If he really loved you, he would do X, Y, Z. You don't have to accept less than perfection. If you're not happy, he's the problem. Each friend validating the other, creating impossible standards, encouraging escalating demands. None of them will say, maybe you're being irrational. Maybe he has valid points. Maybe you should consider his perspective. Because saying that would be betraying sisterhood. So they compete to see who validates most extremely. And she comes home with even more inflated expectations and less capacity for compromise. Meanwhile, you have no equivalent male circle. You've lost your friends, and even if you had one, you've been conditioned not to complain about your partner because that would be talking bad about her. So you have no outlet, no external perspective, no validation that your experience is legitimate. You are isolated, she is reinforced, and the gap widens until it becomes an abyss. The entire system, from therapy to media to law to social pressure, is calibrated to extract the maximum from you while giving you the minimum agency or respect. And you continue to participate because the alternative seems worse. But what is the real cost of continuing? You will live a life of poorly medicated chronic depression. You will wake up each day with a weight on your chest, anxiety about returning home, silent terror about more criticism, more coldness, more proof that you are not enough. Anxiety will become a permanent condition. Your body will start to break down. High blood pressure, digestive problems, insomnia, chronic pain without physical cause. Your body is screaming that you are in an unsustainable situation, but you will ignore it and continue because stopping means confronting realities that terrify you. You will completely lose your self-esteem. You will look in the mirror and see failure. You will internalize her every criticism until you believe you really are inadequate, that you really are not enough, that the problem is you. You will compare yourself to other men and feel constant inferiority. You will stop trying new things because failure would confirm what you already believe about yourself. You will accept a subordinate position in all aspects of life because that is where you believe you belong. You will live with resentment that poisons everything. Resentment of her, resentment of yourself, resentment of the situation. You will smile and do what is expected, but inside you are burning with anger that has no outlet. And this anger will leak out in passive aggressiveness, in outbursts over small things, in bitterness that contaminates interactions with everyone around you. You will become a person you don't recognize and don't like. You will be profoundly alone, even when surrounded by people. Alone in bed next to her, alone at the dinner table with your family, alone in all the ways that truly matter, because no one sees you, no one knows you. You have built a persona of a functional man, and everyone interacts with the mask. The real man underneath is isolated, invisible, starving for genuine connection that never comes. You will lose friends you had because you stopped investing in them. You will lose hobbies because you don't have the time or energy. You will lose passions because they have become memories of a version of you that no longer exists. You will lose purpose because work has become merely a means to finance a life you don't want. You will stagnate professionally because you have no ambition to grow when growth only means more money to finance the same prison. You will lose physical health because stress destroys, food becomes comfort, exercise becomes an impossibility when you are emotionally exhausted. You will lose financial control because she makes decisions and you just pay the bills. You will lose autonomy over every aspect of your own existence. And existentially, you will lose your masculine identity. You will no longer know who you are outside of the roles you play. Provider, worker, doormat. You will lose your sense of self-worth because your worth has become functional. You are worth what you provide. When you stop providing, you stop existing. You will live in deep resignation, waking up each day to a routine you didn't choose, in a relationship you don't want, being a version of yourself you don't recognize. You will accumulate regrets, things you didn't do, risks you didn't take, a life you didn't live, and you will reach 60, 70, look back, and realize you wasted decades serving a deity who despised you, and then you will die. And all that will remain is a legacy of submission and resentment. This is the life you are building every day you continue in the current pattern. Slow death. Gradual dissolution, disappearance of everything that made you, you. And you will rationalize, at least I have a family, at least I'm not alone, at least I'm doing the right thing. But you know they are lies. You don't have a family, you have obligations, you are profoundly alone. And there is nothing right about annihilating yourself to maintain the appearance of peace. Some of you are thinking, but what about the children? I can't destroy their family. And there is the final manipulation. You believe that staying is protecting your children. But what are they learning? Your sons are learning that a man submits, nullifies himself, accepts disrespect, and lives a life of silent resignation. Your daughters are learning that a man exists to serve, that masculine love is unconditional even when treated with contempt, and that a woman can treat her partner like trash without consequences. You are not protecting your children. You are teaching the next generation to replicate dysfunction. They see everything, they absorb everything, and they will reproduce in their own relationships the dynamic you model. Your sacrifice is cursing them. Now let's talk about the cost of waking up. Because I won't lie to you, taking action has a price. Direct confrontation means a possible breakup. Divorce means losing time with children, financial devastation, years of rebuilding. Setting boundaries means she might choose to leave instead of respecting them. Reclaiming your masculinity means temporarily being alone while you rebuild. These costs are real, and I will honor them. But compare. The cost of acting is intense and temporary. The cost of not acting is moderate and permanent until you die. Which do you prefer? Acute pain that eventually heals or chronic pain that never stops? And the gains of waking up. You regain autonomy over your own life. You make decisions based on what is right for you, not on what avoids conflict. You regain self-respect. You look in the mirror and see a man with a backbone, not a cooperative coward. You reconnect with masculinity, purpose, direction, a mission that matters. You experience peace of mind for the first time in years because you are living with integrity instead of a comfortable lie. And either she responds to the real man with renewed respect and attraction, or you discover that she was never capable of a genuine relationship and you are free to find something real. But in any scenario, you stop dying inside. Some relationships survive when a man reasserts his frame. She was testing, waiting for you to finally say no, and when you do, something in her relaxes. Respect returns. Attraction returns. Because you proved you're not a doormat, you're a man. Other relationships end, and that is terrible in the short term, but liberating in the long term, because you discover you were trapped in an unsalvageable dynamic with a person incapable of reciprocity. And now you can rebuild with clarity about who you are and what you will never accept again. So, what do? How do you actually act? I'll give you concrete steps, not theory. Action. First step, recognize the patterns right now. Stop rationalizing, stop making excuses. When she criticizes something trivial, mentally register devaluation test. When she violates a boundary you set, recognize frame test. When she withholds intimacy, understand deprivation manipulation. Naming is power. You cannot fight what you cannot identify. Start mentally documenting each instance. You will realize that these are not isolated incidents. They are a systematic pattern. And a pattern is not an accident. It is a strategy. Second step, reaffirm your boundaries starting now. The next time she asks for something that compromises your autonomy or time you need for yourself, say no. Don't over-explain. Don't justify. Don't apologize. I can't do that. If she pushes, calmly repeat. If she escalates emotionally, do not engage in the drama. Hold your ground. When she criticizes you without constructive purpose, do not accept it. I will not tolerate being spoken to like that. And leave the room. Setting a boundary is not negotiating. It is declaring non-negotiable territory and imposing a consequence when violated. The consequence is your absence, your silence, your refusal to engage. She may intensify initially. This is expected. She is testing if you are serious. Hold the line. Eventually, she stops, or you discover that she does not respect boundaries, which is critical information about the viability of the relationship. Third step, prioritize your purpose above harmony. Identify a hobby or passion you abandoned, climbing, music, sports, friends, whatever it is, and resume it. Don't ask for permission. Inform her. I'm going back to climbing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If she complains, acknowledge, but do not yield. I understand you'd prefer I stay, but this is important to me. And go. Set aside non-negotiable time each week for your interests. She may create drama initially. Ignore it. Consistency is key. When you demonstrate that you have a life and purpose beyond her, two things happen. You reclaim a part of yourself that was dead, and she realizes that you are not entirely hers to manipulate. This often reactivates attraction, because you have again become a scarce object, not a guaranteed infinite resource. Fourth step, manage your availability strategically. You are too available, always present, always responding, always ready to meet her needs. This has killed your value. So stop. When she pulls away emotionally, do not pursue. Give space and invest in yourself. Go do something alone. Go out with friends. Focus on work. Do not be immediately available every time she signals a need. It's not cruelty. It's rebalancing a dynamic where you became a predictable doormat. When she realizes you are no longer begging for her attention, that you have other sources of satisfaction, the dynamic changes. Either she starts investing more to regain attention she took for granted, or you discover that her interest was always conditional on utility, not genuine love. Fifth step, communicate your needs without asking for permission. You have legitimate needs in a relationship, respect, intimacy, partnership, and you are afraid to express them because they will be used against you. But silence is complicity in your own destruction. So speak up, not complaining, not begging, declaring. I need respect in daily interactions. Constant criticism is not acceptable. Physical intimacy is a non-negotiable need of mine in a relationship. Big decisions need to be made together. Say it once, clearly, calmly. Do not repeat ad nauseum. If she argues, do not engage in endless debate. This is my need. If it cannot be met, we need to discuss the viability of the relationship. And then observe actions, not words. If she continues to violate after clear communication, you have an answer about how much she cares about your needs. And that answer informs your decisions from now on. Sixth step, prepare for confrontation or exit. When you start acting differently, when you stop yielding, when you set boundaries, she will escalate. She will intensify manipulation. She will threaten to leave. She will create drama. And you need to be prepared psychologically and logistically. Psychologically, Accept that the relationship may end, and that this, however painful, is not worse than the current slow death. Logistically, consult a family law attorney confidentially. Understand your rights, your options, possible scenarios in case of divorce. Have your financial documentation organized. Have a plan for where you would go if you needed to leave or she left. This is not planning for war. It is recognizing that war is already happening, and you are fighting unarmed. Knowledge is power, and being prepared for the worst-case scenario gives you the courage to act with integrity in the present. 7th step, cultivate an abundance mindset, even if you don't feel it yet. You are operating from scarcity. This is your only chance for family, for love, for not being alone. This mindset traps you, so consciously work to change it. Reconnect with friends. Build a male support network that understands what you're going through. Improve yourself physically. Go back to the gym, take care of your health, dress better. Not to impress her, to rebuild your sense of self-worth. Develop skills, learn new things, grow professionally. Become a version of yourself who has options, even if you don't have them now. Because when you genuinely believe you can attract a new partner, that you can rebuild, that you can be happy alone, you stop operating from fear. And a fearless man does not tolerate disrespect. That is the foundation. Your paralysis comes from believing you have no alternative. Prove to yourself that you do, and freedom follows. 8th step, the inner switch. This is the most important. Everything above is tactics, but the real change, the change that makes everything else authentic, is internal. It is the moment where you decide, deep in your soul, that self-respect and integrity are non-negotiable, and that you would rather lose a relationship than lose yourself. That you are willing to face loneliness, financial destruction, loss of time with children, every cost, before continuing to live as an emotional slave. This moment of internal decision, where you truly accept the possibility of total loss and still choose dignity, is the switch. And when that switch flips, everything changes. Because you stop acting out of fear, you act out of strength, and strength cannot be faked. She feels the change, and she responds or leaves. But in any case, you are free from the prison, because the prison was internal. It was your fear of losing what you don't even have. When you release that fear, you have already won. At this very moment, millions of men are trapped where you are, and millions will die trapped, because they remained paralyzed, because they believed that enduring was a virtue, because they were too afraid to lose miserable comfort, to risk uncertain freedom, and their children will replicate patterns. And the cycle continues. But you don't have to be a statistic. You have a choice. You always have. You are just too terrified to exercise it. There are 2 types of men reading this right now. The first type will rationalize. My case is different. She's not like that. I'm exaggerating. Things will get better. He will close this text and continue doing exactly what he did yesterday. He will continue yielding. He will continue begging for scraps. He will continue dying gradually. And in 10 years, he will be worse, emptier, more broken, with less time left. And he will wonder why he ignored the signs. This man will die with deep regret for a life not lived. The second type will feel anger. Anger at the situation, anger at her, but mostly anger at himself for having allowed it. And he will channel that anger into fuel. He will recognize patterns tonight. He will set the first boundary tomorrow. He will resume his first hobby next week. He will consult an attorney next month. He will do the internal work of rebuilding his sense of worth. He will face the fear of the unknown because he knows that the known is intolerable. And in a year, 2 years, he will be unrecognizable. Whether in a transformed relationship where mutual respect and real attraction finally exist, or rebuilding his life alone with integrity and purpose, this man will be free, alive, himself again. Mark, that engineer from the beginning, is making a choice now. He consulted an attorney. He went back to climbing. He set up a separate bank account. He said no for the first time in 10 years when Anna wanted to take an expensive trip without discussing it. She was shocked. She created drama. She threatened divorce. And Mark, for the first time, said, If that's what you need to do, then do it. The terror in her eyes, when she realized he wasn't going to beg, was revealing. She didn't expect Frame. She got used to submission. Now, she needs to decide if she wants to stay with a man or keep looking for a doormat. Mark doesn't know yet what will happen, but he knows he has regained something precious: choice. He is no longer trapped, and any outcome is better than prison. You are getting older. Each day that passes is a day lost forever. You have one life. One. The clock is ticking, and you are spending precious time serving someone who despises you. Will you continue, or will you finally choose yourself? The choice is yours. It always has been. You were just too afraid to see. But now you see, and you can never unsee it. What you do with that vision determines everything. You can close this. You can forget. You can go back to miserable comfort. But a seed has been planted, and it will grow. And one day, perhaps too late, you will remember this moment and wish you had acted when you still had time. Or you can act now, today, tonight, and begin the long journey back to yourself. Weak men die slow in dead marriages, justifying cowardice as loyalty. Strong men face brutal truth and rebuild on a foundation of integrity, even when it hurts. Which are you? The time to decide is over. You already know the answer. Now you need to have the courage to live it.